What's up everyone, Lion Roar here, and it is time to playtest the male Soul Keeper. So, is he as good as advertised? Well, there's only one way to find out. But first, download Gemstone Legends, a mobile RPG puzzle match game. Use the link in the description to start with free stuff, including a bonus hero. Alright, so Male Soul Keeper can do some broken things as long as you build him right and you put him in the right situations. Which, just to simplify things, basically means that he has high strength compared to your opponents. Now that's all relative, of course, because the higher you level him, the higher his strength's going to be, but of course the higher the levels your opponents are going to be. So the main thing is you're going to try and put him in situations where his strength outmatches opponents. Your team power actually doesn't have to be that high. It can actually be lower compared to your opponents, as long as individually his strength and his longevity, because you want to keep him alive, is better than the individual heroes on the other teams. He can be outmatched, but he can go through and kill them one by one. He can actually 1v5 whole teams, and we're going to get to that in just a little bit. But I want to show you where I settled with the traits. The first being Steadfast. Yes, we've got a cool looking hybrid here. It could have been cooler looking, but it's the Gultung trait. I like the electricity on the arm. That's what I like about it. But it kind of turned his skin like bluish. Anyways, Steadfast. You need high strength for this to work. It creates a nice little shield there whenever he's hit with a special. That's really going to help to keep him alive. And I also put Energetic and Honorable on him. Obviously, I want him to have more HP and to take less damage. And finally, he must have Brutal. If he's going to work at all, you cannot play him without Brutal. He has to have Brutal, but you got to keep him alive. Now, notice I didn't go with my usual suite of Agile and Focused or any of the other traits like the Stone Thrower trait, which I'm actually leaving up to being on another teammate, but not on him. To increase the attack speed, because actually it doesn't matter all that much. Honestly, I want the rest of my team to be dealing a lot of the damage first, so his execution effect can then come in and delete the opponents. And so I don't actually care for him to be faster than opponents. It's not as important here, I feel. I do think he's going to be best on AoE types of teams. And that's area of effect. So I do like him with heroes like a female Gultung who's hitting everybody, or a male Aeson, or there's a number of heroes that do that. But I think that he synergizes well with them, because RNG means you can't really predict where he's going to go to do the execution effect, and you all want them to be down at an HP level where he's almost always going to be guaranteed to make the execution effect hit. All right, so before we dive in and play test him a little bit, I do want to make you aware of some sort of unique things you have to take into account with him. First of all, from what I can tell in other people's playtesting videos and just the way that he works, I think he's probably an S tier champion for the lower and mid tiers. So if you're a newer player on a newer server, yeah, absolutely, he's going to be awesome. Mid tier, maybe even better. Because when you have variations in the levels of opposing heroes and vigor, you can really outmatch them and just really surprise teams. However, at the highest tier, and it's kind of the tier that I play in, I think he's just going to be okay. Like, I think he's going to be fine. But if you're a whale or you're competing for these top spots, you're just really going to have to be careful about how you build the team. Making sure that, he's with heroes that are going to keep him alive, but also to make sure his special's actually going to matter, you're going to have to really vigor him up and put a lot of resources into him. I'm just not sure he's the best hero at the highest levels to do that with, but that kind of remains to be seen. I'll try to do a couple of matches here today in the arena against some of those top tier opponents and see if he can hang with them. The second thing to know is that he punches down, he does not punch up. Now, while you can get a male Water and Sun, for example, that punches up, and what I mean by that is he doesn't even have to be leveled that high. As long as you can keep him alive, all of a sudden when his special goes off, the team he's on can beat opponents way more powerful. I don't think he can do that. He punches down. Again, overall team power can be lower as long as he is stronger than the opponents he's facing. And lastly, what you got to know about him is if you're going to go for him, if you're going to summon, you're going to build him, you have to be all in. You cannot go partial with this guy. If his strength is too low, the execution line is going to be too low, and he's not going to matter because he's not here to do damage anyway. He's here to execute. So let's see how he does. First, let's take a look at some of the broken stuff he can do. So we have one here courtesy of White Death on Discord, who just brought along a female Lionstone and our new male Soulkeeper. And you can see the power at the top there. Obviously, this team is supposed to be overpowered, but if you make the male Soulkeeper more powerful than any of the individuals on the other side, then, well, he can go through one by one and take each of them out. They do have Scarlet here, who's lasting a little bit, but watch, as soon as the HP gets underneath that line, she's done. To take it a step further, Teller on Discord provided this video of a 1v5 against some of the meta champions of the current game. And what's happening is you can see that the mist is doing the initial damage to them that gets them low enough for then his execution effect to go. So, of course, now with these particular meta champions, it's taking a little longer to get done, but look how the line moves up. Remember that the way the special works is that the line can start to move up too, and then the execution effect, of course, takes hold. I'm going to jump into Dungeon Descent for a moment. You can see my Soulkeeper is higher than all the others. And so my team does outmatch theirs. They do seem to have a lot of energetic in Dungeon Descent, but what I want to show you here is that when I'm only at level 20 Vigor, he's not as overpowered as some of those videos looked. So you can see the line to execute them is a lot lower, and you really need the HP to get below that line. Now, if you're somebody who can like throw 100 Vigor onto him, you can 1v5 him the whole way through Dungeon Descent. But take a look here. Let's look at the damage that he did. He's not a damage dealer. He's an executioner. So you really do need other heroes on your team who are going to deal all the damage and get him to the level where he can execute them. And you have to keep him alive the whole time. He can be squishy, which is why I recommend a lot of longevity types of traits like Energetic, Honorable, and Steadfast. Here's another one from Anomaly X4 going solo on level 24 of Dungeon Descent. And you can see when he goes off there, as long as you have made him with Honorable and Energetic and perhaps Steadfast and can keep him alive, you're going to look at the little lines there showing the execution level, and he's just going to go through one by one and take them all out. Now let's see how he does in the arena when he's facing off against opponents that are about his level. Do note my overall power is higher, but my Soulkeeper is a little lower level than the rest of my teammates for that matter, but the opponents as well. And let's see if he can hold up against them. Now the key is to keep him alive. That's why I do have a male Water and Sun. It's not a very highly leveled male Water and Sun. It's just one that's going to hopefully help to have him heal and gain life until the execution effect can take hold there. So there's the line. They're all below it, so he can go through. All right, and there goes the female Dvala too, which is really important. So he did a great job in that kind of matchup. All right, here we got a male Water and Sun mirror match, but they do have a female Dvala on the other side and a female Choir, which are notoriously difficult to kill. So let's see how he does against them, because I imagine that what this is going to take is my area of effect damage dealers like female Gultung and my male Ace on here to get them down low enough for, there we go, then the Executioner to come in and I mean, it might just be a lot of the straight damage actually that killed them there, but now we can work on the female choir here. When she gets down low enough, then the executioner is just going to take her out. Although that's easier said than done if you've ever played around with female choir discordant. Alright, we got her below the line, and she is dead. Now we're going to try to punch up a little bit. We have another Male Water and Sun mirror match here with a couple of meta heroes lined up on the other side, and pretty much everybody over there is leveled higher than my team. So can he hang with this? I don't think he can. But that remains to be seen. Let's see what he can do. It's all going to depend on if I can keep him alive, and especially keep him alive long enough to get their HP down to the execution point. That's not going to be easy, though, with as much HP as over there. But look at this. Here we go. We are punching up a little bit. I'm actually surprised about that. All right. There we go. All right, we just got a little more HP to go here, and then here goes the execution. Come on, get her. All right, cool. And, you know, again, I'll just stop to show you, this is not a damage dealer. He's an executioner. You need your other heroes to be doing the damage. Now I'm going to try to punch way up, 11 million power more than my team. Female Devala over there, we have a Ho, and we have Scarlet, and so... we've got some meta heroes there, although I wouldn't consider this a meta team I'm facing. But let's see if we start to get into the higher powered matchups, can he hang? You can already tell this one's going to be tougher, but you can see the sliders, the levels at which he needs to execute going up. And the key in these is he needs to stay alive. Can he stay alive? All right, there's one execution. And once he gets rolling, he gets rolling. All right, there goes another execution. And see, this one's a snowball effect. All right, so we got a Bloodstorm Scarlet to contend with, and a notoriously difficult female Devala over there. However, the execution should be good against that. We'll see. Ready? Ready? Oh, come on. She went off just right before he did. All right, there we go, and there's the execution. Nice. All right, so I expected him to be fantastic in the lower to mid tiers, which is where I was just fighting, and I was nervous about how he might do in the top tiers. So I'm just going balls to the wall now. I'm putting him in my main comp with my top Male Water and Sun, and I've got my female Ho and female Galabar, going up against purely a meta team that also has Male Water and Sun, Phoenix, Aramore, and they've got a female Devala over there too, male Ho. So this is going to be a really good test to see if he can hold up. Now he's way underpowered here. You'll note I've already said he's got to be on the same level or higher so he can punch down. So unless the only way I can see him really being successful here is if my team can keep him alive, and if the health can get down far enough for the execution effect to actually happen. But at that point, I just feel like my regular heroes are just killing the opponents anyway. But hey, that looked good. You know, I expect almost no damage to be done here, which is true. But he's hanging with them. Now we're up against a 94 million power team, which I do not expect to beat. But let's see how long he can stay alive, and, well, if we get one execution out of it, I'll be happy. Alright, he was able to fire a special. Those opponents are nowhere near the level of being executed, though. So there is that to worry about. But look at this. He is staying alive. And if those bars can just move up, which they do as the match goes on, then, well, he's dead now, but perhaps an execution effect could have happened. All right, so I'm actually just going to skip through this one because I know what's going to happen here is female Galabar is going to just make the time go nearly to 0. Now, this is a true test as I usually run pretty even with this guy. With my main comp, he's at 85 million power. There is a male bloom there. I did position him to try and stay away from the male bloom. But can my team keep him alive? And what's going to happen here? We usually duke it out, stay even almost through the whole match, and then one whole team usually just gets blown up and dies. Which one's that going to be, though? I think at these upper levels, the HP might just be too high for good execution effects, and the strength on him might be too low. You'd have to take him all the way up to 15 stars and put as much vigor on him as you possibly could. But look at this. Look at this. That was incredible. All right, so I'll tell you what. If you use him right, if you put him in the right kind of team, if you build him right, he's great. And you know what? I'm actually pleasantly surprised here that he is performing well in my main comp. I'm going to show you the stats here to again reiterate, this is not a guy that deals damage. He's not on your team to deal damage. He's on your team to execute and just delete your opponents. You need to have big damage dealers on your side of the battlefield. Now, I still am going to reiterate my point, though, that I think in the highest tier of play, the whales, the people competing for that top spot where everybody's level 700, he's maybe just okay. And in fact, I don't even know if I necessarily want to go main comp with him, even though that looked pretty good. And the reason is because, well, Phoenix actually deals damage. And there's a point at which the male is kind of just win more. You know, like if you're going to win anyway, then he just makes it happen a little bit faster. But I don't know if he's actually affecting the outcome at the highest tiers. I definitely think he's affecting the outcome at the lower tiers, the mid tiers, where there's some variation in the levels and the how many stars heroes have. But at my level of play, I don't know. I'm going to play around with him a little bit more. But when I first summoned him, I thought I was going to regret putting all the resources into him that I did. And I don't. But I don't think I needed him. And so for any top tier players out there, you know, if you already have the pieces that work for you, you can probably skip him. But if you're lower or mid tiers and you want to own everybody in the arena and in Valley of Conquerors and Guild Conquest, go for it. We're playing against somebody in Guild Conquest right now, probably like one of the top teams we've ever played against. It's really, really difficult right now for us in Guild Conquest. But one of the opponents does have the male Soul Keeper, and his analysis was he doesn't do much at the top tier. He doesn't see him doing much. And we kind of saw that there. Even on that last one, it was really my other heroes doing most of the damage, but he hung with them. And the execution comes in and plays some role. I just think that at the highest tiers, we could probably find heroes that do a little more to impact the match. So that's my assessment. I think that for me, the usefulness, most of the usefulness is going to come in having him be the highest leveled hero on my third team or something like that, where people underestimate it. They bring their team against him and he just executes them. So anyway, I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments, especially if you've been leveling and playing. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I will catch you in the next one.